so happy to be here. We just got back from our trip from Hawaii, a retreat there, and it was so powerful. And I wanted to create this video for all of you so I could share with you the meaning of the painting, since I never really fully got to share it. And there's probably even more beyond what I'm sharing here. This painting called Seeds of Light is so magical, and it ties into the November painting perfectly, as we talked about during the retreat. And so I just kind of want to jump on here and just share before the sun goes down. We'll see how long I can last here in this sunroom. But it was a really powerful painting because I'm going to show you some clips of how it started. And so it started like this, and it was really this energetic framework. It was just all feeling and color, and it was a necessary layer, energetic layer to this painting that you probably, there's no remnants. There's a little remnants in the upper left corner of this painting, but because it had to have this really high consciousness energy in the background. So I started off painting it black and adding in obviously this blues and greens and almost like northern lights. And then it was like weaving into this beautiful kind of ethereal creature. And so it was like I sat with this background for days before I saw the dragon. So then I saw the dragon, and I wanted to incorporate this full-bodied dragon, and I had all these, these plans. And it really was not what I expected, because I had to constantly meditate before I could even get to the essence. I really had to increase my vibration before I could get the next steps. So I saw the dragon, and I started painting the dragon, and I had wings and everything on this dragon. And they were like, no, it just didn't feel right. And I've been doing this long enough to know when it's right and when it's not. And so I then was able to see how there was greenery kind of coming in off the edges, like in my third eye. Like I could see that was an element, like I needed to bring in the jungle into the earth. And so above the dragon's body that I definitely saw a volcano. And so I added the volcano, and then I was like, wait, coming down, there's some lava coming down. They're showing me that. But I would have to go into meditation, like I said, and then they would show me, like, okay, here's the volcano. And then right next to the volcano was this egg, or this dragon holding an egg. And I loved that. But I was like, okay, so I'm just going to drop this dragon here holding this egg next to the volcano. And I do love that about my work, that it's nonsensical. It doesn't make sense. It's just this beautiful kind of weaving of the story. So I do that, and I realize that I have to get rid of some of the dragon's body, and I'm just going to kind of have the lava separate the main dragon, the dragon head, from the baby dragon. And they told me that was significant in its concept, meaning in the meaning behind it. So the symbolism of this path of lava separating the neck of the main dragon, and really creating this concept of this head, how important this head was. And I didn't know how important the head was until later, much later. But so I had that. I had the lava coming down. I had this egg baby dragon, and this smoke kind of coming around it. But I always had this black kind of figure 8 kind of coming up and down. It was part of the background. It was definitely part of the background that was kept. So it was almost like this, you know, yin and yang kind of feel, but it was almost like slivers of black from the background that was kept, and that ended up turning into the greenery. But it was almost this encasing, you know, this almost like hugging, you know. Yeah, you kind of get it. I can't show you with my hands, but so that was there. And so I really felt this like figure 8 kind of energy. And then they were like, no, we need more fire. So, no, that didn't happen next. What happened next is that I went into meditation, and then I saw how there was this lantern. But at the same time I saw this lantern, I saw the seed of light. I saw that the sacred geometry symbol of the seed of life. And so I put that in, and then I saw the koi. But it was an ethereal koi. So it was like this outline kind of keeping the background. So it was this transparent koi. And this transparent koi was meant to kind of come up and kind of kiss the dragon head, and the tail of the baby dragon was kind of meant to kind of weave down into it. And then I overlaid the lantern. And the lantern I knew had to have the Merkaba, because it was another sacred geometry symbol, and it had to be almost like silhouetted, so really dark, and it had to have these like fireflies coming off of it. And then in the upper right had to be the star. So there was a correlation between the Merkaba, the light from the Merkaba kind of dancing on the image and then moving up into the star. And so that was the process of the painting. And then I really added the fire. The fire was added before the fireflies and stuff, but it was this almost this integration of the lava kind of coming down, but then moving around the painting. And then I was like, oh, this is this beautiful figure 8 essence, overlaying within the jungle. The jungle. And the jungle is important because it had to be this wild kind of natural energy of the earth. So kind of really pulling in this earth energy. So in some ways, if you could see, all these ideas are energy, dimensional energy planes. And so it's kind of like laid on top, laid on top, laid on top, to create the story and weave this pattern, weave this energy, to create this portal. And so I do all that, and you know, they're just telling me kind of what to do next, and that's all we can do ever, right? Is just follow our path. And it wasn't until our experience and all of the things that I can understand the painting even more fuller. And I'm sure I would even understand it more in a month from now if I was to sit with it. So it is this idea. So now I'm going to talk to you about the concepts or the stories of what they were kind of trying to share with me. They really wanted me to share with you this idea around the seed of light. So really this idea of how we create reality and how powerful we really are. And then the dragon itself represented, as we talked about, like this, the alchemy of you as this powerful wild being, attached to their the kundalini, right? Aware of their energy and their sexuality and all this beautiful energy, and utilizing that. So mastery of self, that's where the Merkaba is here. That's the lantern. It's kind of showing you the way. It's like, can you master the self? You mastering the self and aligning your will with that of your higher self. So your words, your thoughts, your actions aligned with yourself. You're integrating your shadow. That's the mastery of self. That activates your Merkaba, right? And that creates a light that goes out into the universe. That's where you manifest and create everything. that is this guiding light for this entire painting. So in some ways, you have to start off with the lantern, you know, and you read the paintings from left to right, right? So it's like, it's really allowing yourself to understand that that's why you're here. Yes, this dragon and all this other stuff's fun, and we're going to get to it, but the mastery of self and the Merkaba is in this lantern, but the lantern itself is a temple. So can you create a sacred practice around mastering the self? Can you wake up every day and get to know what's arising for you? Can you wake up every day and honor wherever you are? Can you wake up every day and create a safe container for you to be you? Right? And as you're doing that, that's what allows you to permeate your light and kind of impact everything. So that is the step. And you know what? The earth's holding it, meaning you are safe. And even the rope that's holding it is, again, this figure 8. So it's this infinite process of experience the great I am. So life, death, everything, none of that exists. It's all an illusion. We're just kind of moving back and forth. We're just moving back and forth through experiences. And, but life's got you. Life itself has got you. Whatever the I am is, right? As much as we can conceptualize it. So, that's a beautiful thing. And so this idea of the dragon, of your past self, your past life, all of your lives, your ancestral line, this tail, right? There's two tails. There's a tail of the baby dragon, and then there's a tail of the koi. And these two tails are emerging. The tail of the baby dragon is so important. It is the root. It's like, can you, in this this sexual energy, right, that allows you to really be who you are and enjoy it, and feel safe in it. It's like the combination of your lower 3 chakras. You know, are all your needs met? Is anything and everything possible? Are you aware of who you are, what you desire, what you like? Are you integrating your shadow? And then are you allowed to be you powerfully? Are you not shrinking but expanding? And so this, that's the tail. It's powerful. It's extremely powerful. And so it's kind of reconciling our past too, you know? And that is part of the line here that kind of leads into the koi and the lantern and all the stuff. And that's partly why the lantern's overlaying on top of the tails. That's mastering the self, is the lower 3 chakras. It's reconciling with your past, healing, integrating your shadow, all that stuff. You know, and I love that this, you know, this energy of the volcano is the mastery of the Kundalini, which is desire and passion and joy and all of these things. And it's this idea around following what brings you joy, following your passion, while integrating all of these things, destroying things that no longer serve you, letting go of things, letting things die, knowing that it's going to create powerful life in its wake. So knowing that it is destructive, it can be used in that way powerfully, but it is for the highest and greatest good for all. For all. Meaning when you create boundaries, it's the highest and greatest good for all. And that's the path, and that's kind of what keeps this integrated infinite circle, this abundant circle keep going, is this destruction, life and death, and that is boundaries. And we talked a lot about that during the retreat. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. I didn't know the fire was boundaries, but it is boundaries, right? So that's this moving force. It's a moving force. And then this idea of, you know, as above, so below, which we talked about in the retreat, so I'm not going to go over that, but it's this, when you really understand your voice, your authentic voice, your expression, when you do that, this fire, this Merkaba, this mastery of self, like this stuff, right? Who you are this lifetime. When you do that, you really can tap into this powerful creative energy. to manifest and create the life that you want, where all your needs are met, like beyond what you think is possible. And that's this dragon head. Like, you're in charge, you are in charge, you are creating, whether or not you're creating what you want, but you are creating. And so it's this pill of responsibility. Like, you really are creating everything. And so what do you like, what don't you like, where do you need to put boundaries, and where do you need to integrate your shadow? Because if you're creating something you don't like, you're typically creating from your shadow, and that's where we kind of go into creating life out of fear. And yet this undercurrent of this koi is this rainbow koi, which is this higher evolutionary concept of our emotional being. Like, so this higher intelligence of our emotions, that's this koi fish, and just being able to flow and kind of move through life with grace and ease and trust and surrender. So kind of surrendering to the waves of life is this other piece of it. So understanding and taking responsibility that you are this master creator, as above, so below, what's in is without. And it's kind of like everything external is a representation of your internal world. And so these two components of flowing and creation, so flowing and concretely creating these realities, is what is the seed of life, right? Is the container for the seed of life, which is so powerful. And so this painting takes you on a journey into following the path of the lava, remembering the power of fire, of lava itself. But as you do that, so there's the split line between the head taking responsibility that leads to the seed of life, right? So the lava leads to that, your passion, your joy. But to the left of it is this baby dragon, and we're just now in that phase. We've been to Hawaii, we're back, and now we're in this baby dragon phase where we have this egg, but we're the dragon. So we're the baby dragon. They're showing us how young we are conceptually and like consciously, how we really don't know. So having that understanding that it's going to be messy, just like a child is messy, kind of figuring out all of these things, figuring out these feelings, figuring out these new ideas, like kind of testing reality as if you were a child. Like, you've never been here before. We've never been here before. And you have the responsibility of this egg. So you're a child holding an egg. You're a child holding a child. Like, that's huge. So it kind of speaks on the sense of responsibility that we have, and maybe the idea of how much help we really need. So asking for help from God, asking for help from angels, from other sentient beings, asking for help, and really allowing them to come in and receive from them. That's where we're at. This egg is pink, and it needs to be understood that it is your purpose. That's your heart, is an expression. It's the heart chakra in an expressive state of like living out your life purpose. So you're figuring it out, and you figure that out by finding your authentic voice. That's why these dragons are bluish green. It's your heart, aligning your voice with that of your heart, and speaking powerfully. But it's not just speaking, it's being powerful. It's being your authentic self. And so you have to know who you are. You have to know what you like. Emotionally, sexually, mentally. You have to know who you are. And there's two dragons, so there's a partnership, there's a coming together. There's a coming together of yourself. There's a coming together. So it's it could be internal, it could be external, but there's this coming together. It's this partnership. And it is this opening of your third eye. As you master these things, your gifts are expanding. So this trip was all about expansion, of moving into your life purpose, is about moving you into your authenticity, is moving you into a life of grace and ease, or whatever it is that you're wanting to create. But you are the master creator. The light's going down, so I have to get going. But it was such a powerful event. I wanted to just jump on here and kind of really tap into the energy and the power of this painting. Don't forget the earth. That's kind of what's wrapping this all together, is really creating the sacredness of the earth in everything that we do. Just like, in Hawaii, they do that in their culture. And so you can really see how creating behaviors and habits of seeing the light and the consciousness in other living things, like trees and plants and animals, there's insects, and the sun and the sky and the earth, really leads to a way more harmonious life. And so there is this Eastern philosophy, not just because of the koi and the dragon and the yin and the yang and the infinity symbol. It's if that really intrigues you, study those kinds of cultures, in the symbolism around those things. I would definitely encourage you to Google like spiritual meaning of rainbow koi, spiritual meaning of dragon, whatever part of the painting you resonate with the most, look it up. And sending you so much love. I can't wait to see you again. Until next time.